let's get into it. 8:15 Thursday, September 11th, Commanders and Packers. This game is, I don't know. I'm as excited about this. So, I mean, Eagles Chiefs is an obvious one in this slate.
Yep.
Falcons and Vikings all of a sudden, I think
Really
after
interesting.
after what we saw after what we saw from JJ McCarthy, and we can get into that a little bit later in the episode.
Even the Monday night doubleheader is kind of interesting now too.
The Monday night doubleheader is good. Buccaneers and Texans is highly consequential. It's Chargers Raiders. I mean, let's see if I'm awake for that one by the time.
I mean, I am not I'm not optimistic about my ability to stay up for 10 p.m. kickoff. I would say like give this doubleheader gives me a better chance to make it through game one, but I wouldn't count on me having my faculties for even the kickoff of game two.
You'd have to really, I mean, I'd have to really get jacked up from the first game and then not be able to come back down. I think that's sort of my play on it. But let's talk about this Commanders and Packers game. I think that Micah Parsons, I mean, it's obvious to say that he's a secret ingredient, but here's why I think it's even more so true. Abdul Carter only played about half of the snaps in week one, and he was moved around a little bit. And there were times in that game where I thought, and this ended up kind of breaking loose, and actually right after I tweeted it, like Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, when they were on the field together, they were disciplined and they were creating rush lanes. They were giving Jaden Daniels some problems, not enough, not nearly enough problems, but some problems. And then all of a sudden, I think all hell broke loose. Jaden Daniels broke contain, got loose, and, whatever, had a long run there. And I think everything kind of fell apart after that moment. But now you have Micah Parsons coming in. He's got another week of practice. Jeff Hafley did such a good job disguising everything against the Detroit Lions and flummoxed one of the best offenses in football. This is a real test. And I think this is not only where we see where the Packers are at, but what really are the Commanders? Because at this point, the Giants are looking a little bit like Tarleton State to open up the season. And I hate to say that, but like this is not a professional football team right now.
That's like the curse of the first month of the season. Like things can deceive you a little bit, and you're not really sure what to make of what. And like, I think I've been doing this for long enough, and you too, like where, you look at some team getting blown out at the beginning of the season. And then you think a lot of the team that blew them out, and then within 3 weeks, it's like, oh, that team wasn't very good. You know what I mean? Or there are like the simple aberrations, So I don't know how much we really know about the Commanders yet. I would say, they felt really good about their offensive line. They felt like that was like one of the areas where they would have the most improvement coming out of training camp with the two new tackles, with Laramie Tunsil and their first round pick at right tackle, Josh Connerly. And, then of course, you have Brandon Coleman, who played some left tackle for them last year, moving inside. I would just caution you to assume like that's the Giants rush being anemic. Like the Giants rush might be really good, and Washington might be really improved on the offensive line. Like that could be one of those. That could be one of those things in week one that seems like one thing, but could wind up being something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Football is back, and Underdog is the place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. It's fun. It's simple. It's easy. In week two, I like the idea of going on the higher end with Joe Burrow when it comes to touchdown passes, coming back with the Bengals against the Jaguars after a lackluster week one for the Cincinnati offense against the Browns. And I like Micah Parsons to go higher on sacks against Washington. I think Green Bay is going to have a little something cooked up for the Commanders with their new defensive start. Download the app today and sign up with the promo code MMQB to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MMQB. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
For me, and to flip it to the other side, what was amazing about Jordan Love in that first game was how in control he felt. And again, right?
He only threw for 188 yards, but he had command.
He had command, and it's sort of like, I mean, it reminded me of Daniel Jones in a way. And I talked to some people out there in Indy this week, and we can get into that too. But there was kind of a purposeful, here's some more stuff on your plate and you get comfortable with it and let's see what you do with it. And that yielded some confidence. I'm wondering if Jordan Love kind of got the same directive here where it's like, you have to see this. This isn't about Matt LaFleur seeing this. This is about you seeing it. This is about you putting it into action. And this is about you checking things, moving protections. But I really felt like he was as comfortable and the Jordan Love erratic thing, I think, is a bit of it's a false association, but he looked good. I mean, like just from start to finish. And I'm curious if Dan Quinn can challenge him at all in that regard.
Yeah, that was like one of their real like points of emphasis with him was that they wanted him to be more vocal.
Yeah.
And I know like for Jordan personally, like for him, like he wanted that to come organically. But they pushed him to be a little bit more vocal this year and take more control of the offense and make the offense his own. And I think this is one of the things that Matt LaFleur has done really well, like is he made the offense. Remember all those questions when he got there in 19, like about the marriage with Rodgers, and Rodgers likes having a lot of control. And, the guys from the Shanahan system normally like to like kind of like play the video game with their quarterback where they've got the joystick. Mm-hmm. And LaFleur, to his credit, like wound up like building a hybrid, like all the motions and all of that different stuff. Like there was almost none of it. Like, his first, their 3 years together there. And one of the main reasons why was because Aaron said to Matt, like, no, like, I mean, it's kind of like the Peyton Manning thing, Peyton Manning always wanted his skill players to be static because he wanted to make the defense, and then he would put them in motion because he wanted to like get a good look at the defense. He didn't want to be doing all this different stuff. He didn't want to have all this different stuff going on with the offense before the snap. He wanted to be looking at the defense. And that's like a really advanced level of quarterbacking, and then if he needed to see something, he could move guys around on his own so he could get his indicators. And so Matt let Aaron do that a ton. The 3 years they were together and Matt made this point to me a bunch of times, like, why would I take this guy who's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time and just shove my offense down his throat? That makes no sense.
Right.
And then, like Aaron moves on and all right, we're going to go back to doing things the way we've always done them. And we're going to put in like an offense that's more like where my roots are. And so, they're doing all the movement and the motions that help a young quarterback. And, they sort of put the training wheels back on the offense. And now they're getting back to the point where they can give the quarterback a little bit more ownership of it. So I think that's one of the things that LaFleur doesn't get enough credit for, that he's been masterful with, is doing what, like leaning in to where his quarterback is at developmentally. Mm-hmm. He had, to begin with, a quarterback who was so far off the charts developmentally. I mean, you can't even use that word with Aaron Rodgers by the time he got him. And then, like now he's working with this guy that he's developed on his own for 3 years. Right. And okay, like now we're going to put the training wheels back on, and now you see the training wheels coming off. I mean, I just think it's a good example of, I used this term last night on TV in New England when we were talking about Drake May. I think it's incumbent now on coaches, because these quarterbacks come from so many different backgrounds, so many different types of offenses. It's incumbent on the coaches to meet a quarterback where he's at. And I think LaFleur has been masterful in his God, I feel old now. 7 years. He's been the Packers coach for 7 years. But in his 7 years, I think Matt has been masterful at meeting his quarterback where he's at.